Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, it is so great to have you. I'm Antoinette, a New Zealander living in Germany. So in this video today, I am going to be sharing some details about my very unconventional, pretty crazy international love story. I know I've made videos about my love story in the past, but I haven't really shared the details about how this love story almost didn't happen. I was very, very close to not even giving Rob a chance, and looking back now, that is crazy to me. I cannot imagine my life any other way. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Actually, just the other day I had the weirdest, almost out-of-body experience. That's the only way I can describe it. It was a Sunday morning and I was allowed to sleep in. Rob and I actually taken in turns to sleep in on the weekend because our kids wake up super early. And so it was about 9 o'clock and I walked down the stairs and I paused for a second and I looked over and I could see Rob and our 3 children. They were doing this puzzle. It was like a 1,000-piece puzzle, and Rob had our little 2-year-old Luca on his knee, and they were like cuddled up together. Amelia, our 10-year-old, and Matteo, our 6-year-old, were just getting really into this puzzle, and Rob was cracking jokes, and the kids were cracking up, and Luca was cracking up, and it was just the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. They were all talking to each other in German, and Luca's just starting to talk, so he was throwing in some English words, and I just stopped for a second just to take it all in, and I was just thinking, this is my family? Like, how did this happen? Thank God I gave Rob a chance, because I almost didn't. This is how my life was meant to turn out. I was still probably half asleep or something, but it was just this overwhelming feeling of just kind of like, wow, life is wild. I could never have planned this. So I'm gonna go right back to the beginning soon and talk about how I almost threw away the best opportunity of my life. So before I get into that, I would like to give a big thanks to my wonderful partners over at Louisa for kindly sponsoring this video today. Louisa are a carbon neutral and climate neutral certified company. They produce high quality, beautiful, timeless jewellery pieces which really elevate your everyday look. Their designs are actually very affordable too, starting at the €39 mark, which is amazing for such high quality jewellery. So speaking of love stories, Louisa are having a huge Valentine's Day sale going on right now. This is a buy one, get one 50% off sale. You need to check out their pieces, they are stunning. So I just want to quickly show you some of my more recent pieces. So I am wearing the Paris earrings today. I have been eyeing up these beauties for the longest time. They are absolutely stunning, so classic. They have the most gorgeous sort of Parisian twist, and these are the sort of earrings I can wear every single day just to elevate an everyday look, or I can really dress these up for a nice event. I'm also wearing the key necklace. This is just a little closed locket. It is so minimal, so gorgeous. I actually bought this one for my sister-in-law. It looked amazing on her and I had to get it for myself too. So if you're interested in checking out Louisa's Valentine's Day sale, I will leave a link for where you can do so in my description below. This is a buy one, get 50% off your second piece sale. Also separately to the sale, you can always use my discount code Antoinette20 for 20% off your Louisa order. So guys, I know that a lot of you have already heard our love story. I have made previous videos on it, but a quick little recap for those of you who haven't heard it. I am married to a German-Polish guy. We met 13 years ago in New Zealand and we fell in love, and I moved to Germany with him, and we now have 3 beautiful children, and the rest, as they say, is history. So at the time Rob and I met, I was 25, he was 24. We met in a bar in my hometown of Hawke's Bay, and when I met him, let's just say his English was not great. It was very basic. When I first met Rob in this bar, there was this initial attraction, obviously. I thought he was really handsome, and that is what sort of drew me to him initially. And then we started talking, and I soon realized, oh, okay, we can't really have a proper conversation because, you know, his English is not great, and our conversation just kept falling flat, and it didn't flow. In retrospect, I can totally imagine how nervous he must have been at that time. I know that when I'm nervous and I'm speaking German, it just does not come out the way that I want. I think he was doing really well when I look back now. He was just trying his best to keep the conversation flowing. He was asking me questions about myself, and answering the questions I asked him, but just in a very sort of basic way. I remember thinking he's really sweet and he's really handsome, but I just can't have a proper conversation with him. This is so hard. And for me, communication is something just so important. Like, I need to connect with a guy on an intellectual level, and I just felt like that wasn't happening with Rob when I first met him. There was something about him I was very drawn to, and I could not put my finger on it, but I just did not think it would go any further. And as I explained in my love story, he got my number and he actually called me the next day. He took me out on a date and it was really nice, but once again, our date, it was at a restaurant, at a Thai restaurant. It was awkward because, you know, he asked me a question and I'd answer it and then he wouldn't know how to reply because he didn't have a very wide vocabulary. It was so weird because the date was super awkward. We couldn't really talk to each other very well. Our conversations kept falling flat, but there was something about him. I was very drawn to him and really intrigued by him, and I wanted to know more about him, and I just felt that he was genuine and I could trust him. It was just a feeling, and I don't know, it was quite a conflicting feeling because I was thinking, this is never gonna work. But I really want to get to know him. I really like him. He actually paid for my dinner at the end of the night, which in New Zealand culture, that's pretty normal. In German culture, it's quite normal to split the bill, apparently. So yeah, he paid for my dinner. So I remember after the date, Rob drove me home, and I was living with my mum at the time. I was a university student, and I remember Rob asking me if he could walk me to the door, and it was not in a sleazy way at all. He knew that mum was home, and it was just more of like, I want to make sure you get to the door safely kind of thing. And I was like, okay. So he walked me to the door and mum was waiting up and she said, come in, come in. And I was like, oh mum, oh my goodness. He must have been so nervous. Oh my goodness, looking back, I feel so sorry for him. And I remember vividly Rob sitting next to me on the couch and mum was sitting opposite him, and she was asking him all these questions about, you know, about Germany, if he likes New Zealand, and why he decided to come, and, you know, asking him questions about his family and all of these questions. I was like, oh my goodness, mum, stop. I just felt so sorry for him, and, you know, he was struggling quite a bit with his English. He was doing very well, but I could tell, you know, he probably felt a little bit awkward, and I just remember his sort of German brutal honesty, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, what's mum gonna think? It was just a few little things. I can't think specifically what he said, but he answered some of the questions in just a very sort of German direct way, and I was just wondering what mum thought. But anyway, when Rob left, I remember mum saying to me, he's lovely, what a lovely young man. And she was going on about how well he did with his English and how difficult it must have been for him, and he just spoke so well. And she was just amazed. He'd only just come to New Zealand and his English was so good. And she was just going on and on about how nice he was. And I was thinking, yeah, he's lovely, but I wasn't expecting mum to be raving about him. And I remember mum saying he just seems very, very genuine, just very trustworthy. What he says is what he means. And yeah, I totally agreed with what mum had said, because that was the feeling I also got from Rob. And I remember asking her, you know, about his directness. I was like, oh, he is a little bit direct. I've actually got a German auntie-in-law, so mum is very used to the German directness, so she didn't really think anything of it. She found it quite endearing. I remember mum saying, so are you going to see him again? Are you going on another date? And I was like, I don't know, mum, you know, the English thing, it was just really hard to talk to him. And mum was like, don't be horrible, his English was great. Can you imagine being in a foreign country and speaking a foreign language? He did so well. Mum was like really defending him. She'd never really done this with other guys I dated before. She usually would be like picking reasons why I shouldn't date them and reasons why they weren't good enough for me, but she seemed to really like Rob. And I remember thinking, I know what's going to put her off. And I said to her, mum, he's got tattoos, and mum does not like tattoos. And mum was like, oh well, a lot of young people have them these days and he can cover them up. I didn't even notice them. I was like, oh my goodness. Because of mum, I decided to give Rob another chance, and you know, we caught up again and again and again, and I started to really fall for him, and I just noticed that every time we would meet up, his English would improve. And so the more conversations I had with him, the better his English got. So within a matter of a couple of months, his English went from being very basic to really good, and I found myself having really deep conversations with him and just really connecting with him on sort of like a spiritual level and an intellectual level. And I just remember thinking, this is amazing. And it kind of just slowly happened, and I suddenly realized, wow, like there isn't a language barrier anymore. I had really fallen for this guy. I liked him so much, and I know that he liked me. You know, he was so trustworthy and honest and reliable. He made me laugh. He was sensitive, but he was strong at the same time. And I remember thinking, he has every quality that I want in a guy. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. Like, I'm in trouble because I like this guy. But he's heading back to Germany. We had a couple of months left together before he was just going to head back to Germany, and I just thought, you know, he's just going to take off to Germany. I'll probably never see him again, or maybe we'll stay in touch and it'll just like fizzle out. And so I was trying to protect my feelings, and I was trying to think of all of the reasons why, you know, I should end this, like I shouldn't take this any further. So I remember actually sitting down and writing a list with all of the reasons why this was not going to work and why I should just break it off with him. And I remember some of the reasons I wrote. He's from Germany, I'm from New Zealand, you know, it's too far away, it's never going to work. His parents don't speak English, like that was a big thing for me. Another reason was that he wasn't like financially secure. He was 24 years old, he didn't really know what he wanted in life. And then I just kept trying to come up with more and more like little reasons why it wasn't going to work, why it was going to be a disaster. And yeah, I came up with a lot of reasons, and I just decided it's not going to work. And in my heart, I wanted to be with him. Like, I had fallen for this guy, but I wanted to protect myself, as I said. And so I thought, I'm just going to tell him that it's not going to work, and I am going to move on with my life and let him move on with his life. He's got a couple of months left in New Zealand. You know, he can go travel and explore, and he will be fine. He's going to be fine. So I remember I invited him round. I was absolutely dreading it because I knew what was going to happen. And, you know, we sat down together, and I just straight up said to him, I don't think this is going to work, and, you know, I think we should break up. And I remember him looking so heartbroken. Seeing him so heartbroken broke my heart as well. Like, he looked really, really sad. I remember Rob looking at me with tears streaming down his face, and he said to me, I want to be with you. I love you. But if you don't want to be with me, I understand, and I have to let you go. And at that moment, oh my goodness, I was like, I do want to be with you. I've changed my mind. And I burst out crying, and Rob was crying, and we were just hugging. It was the most amazing feeling. It was just like, oh my goodness. I just accepted that I want to be with this guy, he wants to be with me, and we have got a pretty complicated path ahead of us. But I didn't care, like I wanted to be with him. It's like once in a lifetime you'll meet somebody who you have such a strong emotional connection with, and I didn't want to let that go. I didn't want to throw it away. I just remember feeling this sense of relief, like whatever life throws at us, we can handle it. We found a way to make it work despite all of these very valid reasons why this was not going to work and why this relationship was a disastrous idea. We listened to our hearts, and so many of you who have watched my love story will know how the story continued. I ended up following him to Germany, and, you know, 13 years later we are married, living in Germany with 3 beautiful children, and he's the love of my life. And, you know, we are not perfect people by any means. You know, we both have our faults, but I truly believe that we are perfect for each other. So anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this very open and honest video. I haven't really shared these details of our love story before, so this is definitely, you know, something new. I think there's a little bit of a message in the story that taking risks and stepping outside your comfort zone is not always necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it could be a really great thing, and it could be the start of a beautiful love story. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I just wanted to remind you that Anna Louisa are currently having a big Valentine's Day sale. Buy one piece of their beautiful sustainable jewellery and get 50% off your second piece. I will leave a link for where you can check that out in my description below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I would love you to consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!